spend some time on 5.2, which is particularly important. I am applying the consent agenda principle for items 6.2 and 6.4. So they will be taken as read, and we have taken forums, we will not debate. So can we come back then, Tina, and can we go to 5.2 or want to do 5.1? Rita, pick up on the alert.
Okay, then I just quickly, there's one alert which is in relation to the workforce risks and issues affecting Northampton and Singleton, particularly around theatre performance and workforce availability because of the high sickness figures within theatres. And it was agreed that we would actually continue to do a deep dive, and we are actually arranging some visits to have a discussion about things. In terms of the assurance, there was assurance in relation to the district nursing staff, which was very encouraging. Again, has been referred to earlier, the workforce risks and issues in mental health, but again, there was some improvements there. The league programme for managers appears to be very well received by the managers of the organisation, which again was encouraging. In terms of advice, the Organise for Success programme, we're obviously keeping a close eye on that, and the variable pay, and the staff survey results, which is another report here, so I won't go into that here.
Thank you, Mia. What we will do before the July board, because what we've seen today is some significant duplication across the AAA reports to the substantive reports to the integrated performance report. So we have to streamline significantly. So we will be undertaking this work between now and the July board. Thank you. So Tina, turn to you then on the staff survey.
Yeah, so a couple of things. First of all, it's the practicalities of the staff survey and what we're doing about it, and then some strategic oversight of what it's telling us, and therefore my recommendation on what we do next. So really disappointing results for me with regards to both the take-up rates, which we did see improvement on the previous year. We remain at 19% of our workforce against a national Wales average of 13%, against an NHS England average of about 50%. And to me, it's an indication that we haven't got good staff engagement if people are not willing to give their views to the organisation. Equally, as a line manager, I really value the staff survey, and it gives me an indication of what I need to do to improve working line with people that directly report to me. We've got lots of work to do to get that confidence that both from a management perspective is a very useful tool, but from a staff perspective that their voices will be heard and things will change as a result of it. We have got a plan in place to do that, and we've shared the results out in the organisation, and we seek assurance through the WAD committee from the various service groups in other areas of the progress against that. So what the survey is telling us, and this is just broad areas to give you a bit of a flavour on culture, and it's our responsibility as a board to oversee culture. So we found across all the themes of the staff survey, and our scores are one of the worst across the health board in Wales as well. Our areas of strength coming through the survey were that they have strong team working and good peer support. That we have evidence of compassionate behaviours towards patients and colleagues, and a high willingness of colleagues to go the extra mile. So that's the sort of general themes, positive themes coming out. However, on the converse, the themes we've seen a specific deterioration in staff well-being, driven by that disconnect between us seeking assurance here on staffing levels and that we've got appropriate resource to run our services, and staff on the front line perceiving that there's not enough resources to deliver the services that they need, which does obviously impact on morale and fitness absence and so forth. And that gap is worse than that perception in a set of results. We've also seen a gap between team experience and that organisational experience. So what I mean by that is people report feeling that their local team is supportive, but they lack confidence in the wider organisational decision making and lack confidence in leadership. So there's, so locally they feel supported, but there's more work for us to do around the organisation decision making. And the third area is around the reduced advocacy and pride in the organisation. So with fewer staff recommending the health board as a place to work and expressing pride in working in the organisation. So what that says to me is that we continue to see the learned helplessness culture and area pockets of low levels of trust. Now, to address that on an organisational perspective, we need, our recommendation is an intentional culture change programme. And there are things that you can do to address the learned helplessness culture and low levels of trust. And my recommendation, Chair, is I've started this work already, is to develop an options appraisal. So what we need to address, what component parts of that, how we can address those component parts, what whether we've got the capability, capacity to deliver that in-house, or whether we've got gaps in that delivery, to look at recommendations on what we do to bring that resource in or work with other partner organisations to support us. So the order of the timelines for this. So we've got the Organised Success Programme, which will help with because that will help us align our management structures and make sure we've got managers the right skills, values and behaviours. But the intentional culture change programme needs to sit alongside that. So I was going to develop this options appraisal and draft by end of June, and take that through execs in July, and then we haven't got forward in August, have we? But for development, I was thinking around August time, if that's acceptable, and to then come back to a future board meeting after that.
Thank you very much, Tina. Abby, I'm sure you want to add to that.
Yeah, thank you. And I think what we know is one of the most important factors, which is why we developed a breakthrough metric, is around how engaged our staff feel. And I think whilst Tina's described the work around a specific programme of work around shifting the culture in the organisation, so that we've got our workforce lined up to deliver against our strategic plan. I do think incrementally all the things we're doing should be reinforcing that, but I think there is something about a specific programme, because everywhere we go, we do hear this issue about we don't have enough resource to do what we need to do. We are not alone in that, and I know some of our scores are a bit lower, Tina. They're not way off in terms of the picture across the whole of Wales, particularly when you take out the non-health boards and look at the health boards. So there's something about what is happening and some of the national conversation around what it is we need to do to change our services, to modernise, to digitise, to enable people to work to the top of their licence in the most efficient and effective way, and come to work in the way that you were saying in the introduction, Jan, to be their authentic self and be their best self and perform to their best effect. So there's something, I think this an intentional programme alongside all of the other things we're doing around quality improvement, showcasing and celebrating the successes we've got in the organisation as well. Because if you think about our performance report, you inevitably focus on the things that are not going quite so well. Actually, there are lots of brilliant things happening day in, day out. And we need to make sure we're getting that balance right as well in terms of our communication out staff. So I really welcome this, Tina. And I know that this has been pushed out. I think that's a really important point about managers encouraging in their teams and getting that balance right about people feeling, well, it's going to have my staff numbers, so they're going to know what I've said, as opposed to, we really need to know because it will help us develop our team. I think we've probably got more work to do around things like team objective setting. Has the team got kind of a purpose? Going back to the Michael West work that's been done with the perinatal team, it's around who's your home team? Have you got really clear plan for the team and a development plan for the team so that you really feel part of that? And I think that will probably feature as part of that work around how we get our managers to be where they need to be as part of that. So I'd really welcome.
Raj, to come in.
No, thank you. I should say that I was very well cognizant of the staff survey showing, but I just wanted to bring to the board attention the GMC trainee survey. And the fact that they're actually part of our staff too, and also the trainers. So the fact is the response rate from across Wales, which is actually evident for the health board, was 81.53. For the trainers, it was actually 47.84. And again, the overall response from the trainee and the trainer was actually excellent, because the fact that this is actually where another forum where the GMC and HEIW uses us, basically to say whether any further monitoring is actually required and whether the risk cost needs to be raised. But I just wanted to show there's a clear imbalance here, but I just wanted to clearly show that the fact that this is our staff, and what I will do is from now on, whenever the trainee survey comes up, it'll be brought to the workforce and OD committee, because actually this is a clear reflection of what happens within our organization. Thank you.
That's an important balance, actually. Thank you. Any comments or points? I'm sure we'd all want to be supportive of the actions proposed. It will be disappointing to us, to know what those results were, but I'm sure that we're all committed to actually continuing to work. And I think I mentioned earlier the workshop with the Partnerships Forum, which was very positive, and I'm sure we can build on that relationship to take this work forward. So we'll build it into a board development team at the other end of the summer, and then we'll bring it back to the board when we can. Thank you. Nuria, should I turn to you for your?
Yeah, I'll take what I just read. So the committee met recently. You'll see from the notes, the report back from the committee, that we focused on assurance, controls, accounts, readiness, and organisational grip. As you all know, as time sustained operational financial practice. In terms of internal audit, we had 2 limited assurance reports that I would like to alert the board of. One was on urgent and emergency care, and the other one was in relation to our annual plan. The committee accepted the management responses, but emphasised the need for the findings to directly inform current planning and decision making, and both reports have been escalated to PUC and QS for further scrutiny and alignment with the ongoing work that we're doing. We also considered the Bill's report on digital transformation. Again, I won't dwell on this, as you've already heard from the DDI committee, their update. In relation to outstanding recommendations, the committee noted a significant backlog in confirming the closure of overdue recommendations. We have a new process where the governance team checks that there is support closure. However, there have been some capacity constraints, so we now have a backlog for verification. As a result, I cannot provide the board with a full up-to-date assurance position at this stage. It is possible, if all of those penciled for closure are indeed closed, that we will be in the best position for several years, but I can't confirm that at this stage. Given the committee's zero tolerance to overdue recommendations, especially those relating to patient safety, we will, with the board's support, require attendance at the audit committee where progress is not being made to ensure accountability and timely resolution, and we already have highlighted the areas where we'll be scrutinising in detail. In relation to the annual accounts, and touching on counterfraud briefly, received assurance that the appropriate quality assurance processes and lessons learned have been applied in preparation for the annual accounts. Audit Wales raised no issues at this stage, but obviously we need to go through the full outcome of their review. The committee approved the annual counterfraud report, which reflects strong progress and improved organisational responsiveness. I think those are all the matters, but the rest we've been covered somewhere in the agenda. So I've already touched on recovery and sustainability, and in all the other matters that are in the update.
Thank you. And Nuria, thanks to you and members of the audit committee for the rigour and the in-depth analysis you undertake of all our different aspects of your role. And I'm sure the board will want to support the committee in saying, well, that you do need people to come to the committee if there are questions to answer about responses and response time. We're happy to support that and take assurance, Nuria, from the information you've given us and from you. Thank you. To move to 6.3, and Nicola, Charitable Funds Committee update, please.
Thank you, Jan. Starting off with the alert, top slicing issue. The committee were concerned about the delay in communicating this to fund managers. Huge work has been undertaken by the charity team, Richard and Claire, to mitigate this, working closely with fund managers and Partnership Forum. Following on from the engagement, executives took on board their comments and a compromise has been made, reducing the top slicing from 10% to 6%. Before I move on to the advice, is there anything else you wanted to add on that, Richard?
Yeah, I think the process has been one where, so Claire and I took a lot out of the engagement with the fund managers from the back of the top slicing announcement. it's actually turned into a bit of an opportunity as well, because I think up to this point, there hadn't been a huge amount of engagement, but that certainly sparked that. So it's about now turning that into something really positive. So what we're going to be working on is the development of a new refreshed strategy and business plan for the charity. And we're 3 years into the current one, so we can work now over the next few months on the refreshed strategy, engaging with the fund managers on that. That will include details on the fundraising approach, which will be a strategic approach, the resources required, how we cover the costs, but also importantly, the number of funds. There are 259 funds right now. There are also around 80 dormant funds. So within the letter that Claire and I sent out to fund managers, updating them on the top slice issue, we also flagged up the fact that we're looking to rationalise the number of funds so that we have more strategic and fewer funds that would have a bigger impact. So that will be part of the strategy that we will be putting together in the run up to the CFC in October, which I think will be a really important sort of step forwards.
Thank you, Richard. And then we will have to have a Board of Trustees meeting thereafter. Once the committee is happy with a new strategic approach, the board will have to come together in our Board of Trustees role. Nicola?
Yeah, thank you very much. The moving on to the advice is the business case for the Armed Forces of Welfare. We approved this, taking into account, I think, real part fund, match funding for a veteran support. This will cover a post covering the whole of the health board. The other two advisories, I think you've already covered regarding the closed and dormant funds and the development of the strategic approach. So yes, as we mentioned, it will be coming to our committee in October.
Thank you, Nicola. And we can take assurance from the work of the committee, and thank you very much for the detailed engagement with the fund managers. I think we have recovered the position. So thank you very much for that. So we'll move on to 6.5, nurse staffing level.
Chair, this is a regular report, comes biannually. We have full compliance with the Nurse Staffing Levels Act Wales. Ongoing actions to maintain safe staffing levels are outlined in the report, and a further report will come in November 2026.
Thank you very much. Nuria?
I just have a specific query around the financial implications and how the paper, I think it results in a new cost pressures. How does this fit in with our plans for workforce savings? I just had that question.
So when we undertake these reviews, we do it within divisions and we move resources around within the establishment as is. We've highlighted in this report the work that we've done on Gowers Ward, and that is significant reconfiguration of our establishments. But it isn't reflected in here because this period is the period for last year.
So to answer your question,
yeah,
alongside Liz and the finance team, we've done a really detailed spreadsheet that lays out the current position and the future position, and there is no cost pressure as a result of the changes that we're going to make. In fact, we're going to squeeze more money out.
Yeah.
So we can take all the considerations we're asked in the paper, Liz, and we can also take assurance from there's assurance to us that there'll be no additional cost benefit. But a very important point. Yeah, thank you very much. So Hazel, return to you now, please, on corporate governance.
Part of the meeting report just provides assurance on the items that have been covered in committee. I shall surplus comments for your work programme and committee annual report on cycle business. All the committees have been updated, and as I've said earlier, we use a risk register to inform those as well. We're asking then the board to approve the changes to standing orders and standard financial instructions for JCC as set out in the paper, plus the policy for the management of health board wide policies as well. That's been through the executive board and consulted widely within the organisation. And we've also got 3 documents, board documents that we're asking protocols that the board to approve as well, and they've been up for consultation and improvement.
Thank you, Hazel. I know you cover this report very succinctly, but there's an awful lot of work that underpins it. So thank you and your team for that. So are we able to take matters we're asked to receive for assurance first of all, as set out there? What we did in committee at our last meeting, the circulars, the common seal, the register, board work programme, committee annual report and cycle. happy to take assurance on that. And Hazel, have we done formal assessment of what we did in committee in 25-26?
Yes, we have, and that's completed as well.
Okay, so, and we are content that we are complied with our protocol.
Yeah.
That's super, thank you. You can order have a look at that, just to make sure we're absolutely putting as much in the public domain as we possibly can, and aligned with our protocol. I think we are. But it would be good to have that, sure.
We have received assurances in the past.
Yeah, thank you, Maria. And then there are a number of items for approval. The governance framework, first of all, happy. And then the policy for the management of our capital bond policies, procedures, and other written control documents. Thank you. Then the board protocols, 3 of those, and the in-committee protocol annual review, which we just limited to audit as well. Thank you. And again, Hazel, please take back our appreciation of all of it. That takes us to 6-7 and the minutes of the board meeting on the 26th of March. Are these a correct record of our discussions and are we happy to approve? Thank you. And I will convey our appreciation to our minute writer, whom we never see, Dana Williams, because she takes the recording of the board meeting like tomorrow. And then she drafts our minutes and then she and I work through them the following week. We never see her, but she produces the marker and then you know, also. Thank you. Thank you. So, Hazel, action log?
Yeah, the updates have been provided and we keep them on the logins and the consent.
Thank you. Any comments on that? No, thank you. So we move into our items and noting section, but we do have chairs of our 2 advisory groups here. So Pat, is there anything from the stakeholder reference group you want to bring to the board's attention?
Only to say that our meetings are getting more and more productive. So and we started looking at so we started looking at transforming for the future, and that will be our main item for the next meeting, which will also be the main item when we meet with the board.
Thank you. And again, Hazel will be in contact with you about preparation for that annual meeting with you and your members, which we look forward to. Thank you. And then did you want to say anything about professional?
Well, very similar positions, Pat. As I said, I'm pleased to say there's definitely increased engagement and obviously transforming for the future will be a key area of focus for us as health professionals.
Thank you very much for that. And then also, as you know, I put in the public domain all the activities, visits, etc. that I undertake between boards. So that's for you to know there as well. So I've not been notified of any other business, but has anything occurred to anyone during the course of the meeting that you really want to flag now? No? Thank you very much. So we will at that point ask Ashley to review the meeting effectiveness for us then.
I've got lots of notes, but I will summarise. So just a brief reflection. I think there's a really strong sense of coherence across the agenda. So starting with the strategic issues and moving through to risk and through to delivery, and you state the role of the board in that really clearly. I think the conversation on risk is really well integrated throughout the agenda, as well as balancing that with quality, and the discussion always consistently return to risk and mitigation, which is really positive. The use of the 3A's report from the committees helps draw out those key issues, and I think positioning the risk early on in the agenda and the risk register helped frame that. There was helpful focus and discussion on the relationship between the strategic and corporate risk registers, and the opportunity to continue to strengthen that connection so it more clearly reflects the reality of the issues being faced. I think really strong quality of debate throughout, high levels of curiosity in the questions, a constructive challenge alongside high support, and really consistent messaging on being clear on the impact on patients and staff, particularly when we talked about the annual plan, financial position and performance. Helpful to see clarity on where work is being remitted to the committees, and how issues are going to be picked up in terms of deep dive. I think in terms of development, sometimes the length of the papers can make it difficult to understand consistently what the key issues are. So there's an opportunity to be more concise there, particularly around actions, timelines and trajectories, which we reflected on a couple of times. And we talked about the opportunity to clarify where we best have those detailed performance discussions between the committees and the board, so that we can have a valuable conversation.
Well, you can come again. Thank you very much. So we can liaise with Hazel on the, so that we can pick it up for meeting effectiveness. Thank you very much. And we also look forward to that learning opportunity.
Very good,
We
Lisa.
said it would be at the beginning of what's the event. But thank you. Anyway, we've got one final thing to do before we close the meeting. And this is the last face-to-face meeting that we'll have with Chris Morrell. As Executive Director of Therapies and Health Sciences. So Chris, we know you don't leave us until, what is it, early July?
Yeah.
But this will be the last face-to-face board meeting. So as a board, then we obviously want to say a few words to mark the fact that your career started when you were just 60. So you're over 50 years of service, more than 4 decades in this organisation and various predecessor bodies. And then, of course, you've also been in Welsh Government for a period of years at national level. So throughout your career, I think you've been involved in and you've led profound changes across the service. And what you are known for is your steadiness, your calmness, your adaptability, and your profound belief in the commitment of NHS staff and the opportunities for NHS staff that you really tried to champion. So as the Executive Director of Therapies and Health Sciences, you've led a broad and a very complex portfolio. And those are services that are fundamental to a safe, effective and compassionate care. So you combined your leadership role with personal warmth, always keeping people at the heart of our work and supporting challenges with kindness and respect. And you've made, real major contributions during times of significant challenge, not least of which was the pandemic, for which we would want to pay particular recognition and thanks for everything you did during that time. So as a board, we want to thank you for your decades of service, your leadership, the difference you've made to the board, the colleagues, and we wish you well for the future. We hope you'll stay in touch. But thank you for everything you've given over 50 years. Abby wants to add a few words.
I did indeed. So thank you very much, Chris. And you will leave a big gap in the executive team because you have always represented well the services that and professions that you represent in your role. That broader role, as you say, Jan, the calmness, the energy and the enthusiasm with which we face some of our challenges. And you've been a great colleague in terms of being consistent in that in the executive team. Just thinking about the things that you've led on, some of them have been really tricky. So again, leaning into some of the areas where we've had challenges, think about some of our services that have been fragile or services that have had some difficulties. You think about some of the cultural issues, and you've always faced into those with a really straightforward approach to it, to working through the solutions and the answers. So I just wanted to extend my thanks as well for all that you've done while I've been here and the support you've given me too, and the rest of the exec team. And we will miss you, Chris. Yes, we will.
Thank you very much. And we will always miss your beautiful colours. Yes. Look immaculate, your amazing outfits. Thank you.
Well, speech, yeah. I could just say thank you.